Yeah.
Okay, you can start. Okay, so World War II in Europe and Asia, my review. Part 1. Why does Germany kill everybody? Germany lost World War I, so they lost all these territories. That's what those dotted lines are. They wanted that back. And then some guy who failed art class was like, oh my, I want to unite all the German-speaking people, which are like all the people here, so he's kind of mad at the war. So, there's a bunch of people, like, he already kind of controls this thing, but a bunch of people in Austria also like him, so there isn't any invasion. It just kind of, there you go, that's Austria conquered. Very cool. That's a German country. And this was called the Anschluss. And then Germany was like, hey, I want this part of Czechoslovakia, which has German people in it, or else I'm going to invade Czechoslovakia, which is coincidentally fortified. So the British and the French are like, okay, yeah, whatever, you can take it. So Czechoslovakia just like gives it up. And then Germany immediately after invades Czechoslovakia and takes over the whole thing and sets up a puppet state in Slovakia. And also some land is given to Hungary, just like over there. There you go. Okay, now Germany's a bit of a big boy, but they're still mad at Poland. Actually, no, they're mad at Lithuania because they lost that little bit, so they just kind of demand it, and then Lithuania's like, okay, I'll give it. And then Germany, the French and the British are like, hey Germany, don't invade Poland or else we'll invade you. So Germany says, no, I'm still going to invade Poland. So they do, and they start invading Poland. And then France and Britain declare war on Germany. So now Germany's at war with a bunch of people. These guys are allied. Japan's allied with these two, so everybody's at war now. Poland dies pretty quickly, but halfway through the invasion, these guys, the Soviets, decide, hey, I want some of that too. So, in the end, it's like divided up like right there. There you go. This part's Germany now, this part's Russia now. So now Germany's a bigger boy, and the Russians are just gonna like keep taking stuff. Now, Germany is at war with these guys, and this part's fortified. There are forts here, it's called the Maginot Line. How are you gonna get around it? It's indestructible. Well, those are these countries. Now they're dead. Now Germany goes this way and takes Paris, and now France is completely dead, and they get divided up like so. This part, like a little bit goes to Italy, and it's like a puppet state over here, very cool. So now Germany owns like that. Now Germany owns this whole area of Europe, which is pretty big. But they still want more stuff because, weapons are and stuff. So the Germans, this whole time, the Russians have just sort of been taking all this territory. Just draw the borders. Ain't good enough. So the Germans want this piece. That's a lot of land over here. So the Germans start Operation Barbarossa. They want to get to this line and occupy this whole area of the Soviet Union. Oh, by the way, Finland lost some land. They're mad too. These guys are mad at the Soviets, so they also invade. So these two are invading the Soviets. So the Germans basically get this far. There's Stalingrad, that's Moscow, that's Saint Leningrad. So basically, Leningrad is surrounded. Finland took this. Moscow isn't surrounded, and so a bunch of, like, many millions of people are dying over there. It's pretty cool. And then eventually, you see this is controlled by Italy. Not anymore, the Allies took it over. So now the Allies have this whole thing, and the British have a bunch of ships which they're going to use to try to kill Italy, because Italy is the main part of Europe. So they go up from from Africa, and they just sort of take a nibble. They just take that. And then, Italy kind of falls into chaos and whatever. This whole time, Japan's sort of just, like, erasing wars and taking stuff. So that's all Japan now.
It's
And so, you know, like there's some pressure building on the Germans. So but it isn't enough because they've installed theirs, so they can't really win yet. So Britain's like, hey, we should kill the Germans. And so they meet in Iran, the British, the Soviets, and the Americans were going to draw that. They meet in Iran and they decide, hey, we need to do this. So they do that. And then there's like a bunch of troops over there. And then the Germans are very sad because they are now being invaded from 3 fronts. There's 3 fronts. So things just kind of start falling apart. This front has stalled. They never made it to the line that they wanted. So like, these guys just start taking over France. And then these guys, you know, they start pushing back. It's a whole mess. And you know, the situation just continues to, you know, get worse and worse. With the American, like the Allies and the Soviets just sort of pushing in further and further, and then Italy slowly keeps dying. Everything's just going to hell, basically. Yeah, so the Soviets, the Russians, the USSR continue taking stuff. These guys switch sides. This whole area was on the German side. Now they're on the Soviet side because they don't want to get shot by Stalin. So now this is all the Soviets, this whole thing. This nation, Finland, surrenders to the Soviets because, you know, everything is kind of going to hell down here, so why would you want to be on the side that's about to get, like, absolutely obliterated? Wow, I have drawn a lot of lines in advance. Anyways, so now you have the race to Berlin. You have the Soviets coming from this side, you have the Allies coming from this side. That's Berlin. Long story short, the Soviets win. The Soviets take Berlin. This is a new border of Europe. Eastern Germany, Czechoslovakia, I don't know. This whole bit goes to the Russians. This whole bit goes to the Allies, basically. That's what happened in Europe. And then over here, Japan still hasn't died yet, which is annoying because they kind of, you know, like, wow, we've already lost multiple millions of people, so so the Americans have been making this big thing called a nuke. And they basically destroy 2 of Japan's cities, and then Japan surrenders, white flag. That doesn't look like a flag, it just looks like a P, but whatever. You know, Japan surrenders, and the day is saved. And like multiple tens of millions of people are dead. Very cool.